What's up, guys? Mike Powell here. Another episode of Doc Talk. Right now I was just staring at the water and there's all kinds of stuff in the water, so I figured we'd talk about stuff that I've found in the water over the years, or stuff that I've hit in the water. I always remember craziest things, like you see some weird stuff, you see animals and stuff you don't really want to mess with in the water. But I remember one time I was at I think I was at Lake Don Pedro, and there was this deer, or I guess you'd call it a buck because it had antlers on it, but it was swimming across the water, and we're, dude, like middle of this finger, and this finger's like pretty wide, so like the boat's just moving, boat just taking its path, and I cut out to the flats, and I seriously like didn't even think twice, just decided to try to jump over it, and I ollied and I tapped the antlers of the deer. That was like probably one of the coolest things that I've hit in the water. I've never even thought about it too much until now, about like probably crashing and being right next to that thing, but I just figured I had to make it, never thought about crashing. Let's see, another time hit something in the water. I told you when I went to go get that houseboat, I hit the island, hit the sandbar underneath the water. That's really the only prop I've ever dinged up, but I know a lot of guys. I've been on a handful of boats where guys have dinged props and things like that, from hitting rocks, stumps, logs. Man, dude, hitting things in the water with the boat is really loud. A lot of times it doesn't really hurt the boat. The only thing that it might damage is the prop. So, boats are pretty cool. Boats are pretty bulletproof. Oh man, out here, downriver here, there's a bunch of seals. Well, not a bunch, but there's a couple of them, and sketchy, man. Those things are like 300-400 pounds. They're floating in the water, and you're swimming with them and stuff. Like I always end up thinking about guys who I remember Ryan Lemons. He's a wake skater. Used to wake skate for Integrity Wake Skates. He lives out on like a bayou in Louisiana or something. Dude's hella cool. Ryan, what's up, man? If you're watching, he's a cool cat. We chop it up about drifting and stuff. He had a Porsche and stuff last time I seen him. Anyway, like to slide with him if I can, or ride the wake skate. Who cares? Both of them, all of it. But I could only imagine some of the stuff that dude finds down there. Snakes and all kinds of weird stuff. Florida, when I was there, I got a glimpse of one gator. It wasn't like a big one or anything, but I know dudes ride with gators down there and see them often. Let's see. I just always trip out, like anything in the water, bro. Like I don't like like anything that moves faster than me in the water. I am not stoked on hanging out with, and that's like everything, dude. Whether you're swimming faster than me or it's like an animal, I don't think so. Big fish. Oh man, I've touched some fish underwater like a couple times. Like sometimes I trip out too, especially if I'm in a big lake or even in the Delta. I catch myself often putting the board underneath me, and then I hug my legs because I'm all worried like something's gonna come get me or something's gonna touch me. And I've had a couple big grazes from like big fish, and a couple times I felt it where I don't think it's like super harmless. See, there's a big fish right there. I ain't playing that game. I don't know if you heard that. But over at the water sports farm out in Nicholas, it's a catfish farm. But it's this cool little open area, and the water's like almost always smooth. And yeah, if it's feeding time, there's like, see how all the algae and stuff's in the water right there, and they'll put catfish food out there, and so sometimes you'll be like going through the pellets, and it's kind of gross. And or if you like fall and you're sitting in the water, then you'll feel them. Sometimes you'll feel them graze you and stuff, and it's gross, dude. Let's see. I remember I was hitting this sunken boat on my wakeboard one time, and I only fell once, but when I fell, I like went out the front and I put my arm down in front of me, and I smacked my arm and it swole up real quick. I don't know what I hit. It was probably a rock or something, but it was really deep right there, so I'm not really sure. I just know it was a real shitty situation. That kind of sucked. What else? Oh, I remember like my first wakeboard competition, the last trick of the pass that I did on my second pass. I came in, I tried to do this big roll to revert, and I landed outside the wake, but I dug the nose, and when I dug the nose in, I actually hit the mud underneath the water. It was like low tide, and that was coincidentally the last time that I rode that board, because the guys at the shop got me a new one. And that one, when I kept it on my wall and stuff, I still had mud on the nose of it. It was pretty cool. Stuff in the water. Stuff in the water. Oh man, out in the ocean, there was this cool little patch where we put the winch on the jetty, and I was probably like over 1,000 feet out, and you had to go through this one patch to actually get to the waves that we were trying to get to. And that one patch, I remember like tide was going out, and then it kind of washed out, and then the board almost stuck, like just a little bit of drag, and I went out the front, and I ended up in this fat patch of kelp, dude. And kelp is so gross, and you know, I'm not super keen on my ocean stuff, but I was told that that's where like sharks and stuff hang out. I was just so tripping out, and I freak out. I get the willies now thinking about it. Oh, and here at the Delta too, we got like nasty little weeds on the side. Like sometimes if you're riding in some of the more narrow sloughs and your board slides off into we call them the nasties, but you get over there, sometimes you'll climb back on the boat and tell them to come drop you off closer, because you don't want to swim in that stuff. It's just, who knows what's gonna happen, you know? There could be something in there, or you could end up, you know, getting bit or just never coming out. It's kind of crazy. And then there's like big logs like this. This freaking sucks. You know, you never want to hit one of those on a boat or anything, but they're out there, and dudes take them out all the time. So just always be careful and mindful of where you're driving the boat and stuff like that. Sometimes I've been known to drive the boat a little close to shore to get the best water possible. And some people freak out, but a lot of the times I drive it, I feel like I've been in the certain areas where I risk it a little bit quite often, so that there's I've you know, experienced limits risk. Yeah, there's it's always an adventure in the water, man, for sure. Oh, I remember this other winch spot. It's near the bay. I was like walking the rope out, and there's just these like 3-foot carp, just nice and slow, swimming like this. Just like as I'm walking through the like knee-deep water, these guys are just like swimming right next to me. Super gross, super trippy. Not a fan, but it is what it is. Things in the water. Things in the water. Oh man. I remember stepping on a nail in a winch spot. Man, falling down and being scratched by like sharp rocks and landing on concrete underwater. That sucks. Shoot. Yeah, other than the water being like super cold, there's nothing really worse than just finding something that you aren't really stoked on finding in the water. We'll kind of wrap this episode up. This could be a cool little short episode about stuff in the water. But tell me, what's your favorite thing in the water? I haven't seen a body out here, but if you've seen a body out in the Delta or helped pull one out or anything, please let me know, and let me know where you found it. It's kind of a weird request, but people always ask me, hey Mike, would you ride at the Delta still if I told you I pulled the body out of the water? My reply has always been yeah, but who knows? What if I help pull it out? Could change the answer on that one. Anyways, Mike Powell, another episode of Doc Talk. Let me know the gnarliest thing you've seen in the water is down below. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.